This is arguably one of, if not the coolest sim racing product released in recent memory. A wheel designed alongside the Mercedes Formula 1 team, a perfect one-to-one replica of Lewis Hamilton's actual wheel, and a product that costs an eye-watering $2,700, all before taxes and shipping. This is the Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula 1 team sim racing steering wheel, and it's ridiculously cool, yet completely unnecessary. Real quick before we begin, this month I'm giving away a set of Simagic P500 pedals to a lucky winner anywhere in the world. You guys have shown tremendous support by engaging with my videos and using my affiliate links, so I'm giving something away every single month for a whole year. Entering is completely free and takes no more than a few seconds, so check the top link in the video description and best of luck. Right off the bat, this is easily one of the coolest bits of sim racing gear that I've ever owned, and I'm not just saying that because it's expensive, but rather because what it means for this hobby. Just the fact that SimLab, a company that makes sim racing hardware, was able to work so in-depth with Mercedes to develop this one-of-one sim racing wheel speaks volumes in terms of how far this hobby has come and how much potential it has. You see CAD files directly from Mercedes, some of the exact same encoders and components, and even completely irrelevant details were added to this wheel simply to get the utmost realism. The lever of the clutch paddle Mercedes insisted be made of carbon fiber, and even something like the bolt underneath this wheel was included because it's there in the real car, and not because it has any actual purpose for this particular wheel. You see, everything in this wheel is nearly a 100% replica of what Lewis Hamilton was using in his Mercedes F1 car. That of course is evident in not only how it looks and feels, but also how practical and ergonomic this wheel is. As you'd expect, as it's literally used in F1, this wheel is extremely ergonomic in design with absolutely every button and dial at perfect reach. 280mm in diameter, the wheel is realistic in size and importantly also in weight. Coming in at just 1,240 grams or about 2.5 pounds, it's no surprise that its entire handmade carbon fiber casing has its benefits, not only because of how it looks, but also how it performs, this being something that I'll touch upon later. Back to this wheel's ergonomics, it goes without saying that if Lewis can use it going 200 miles per hour, you'll be perfectly fine using it in your bedroom. Everything is at close and comfortable reach, and the feel of the buttons, the thumb and rotary encoders are plenty tactile. Also worth noting is that an entire sticker sheet to customize this wheel further is included, this being the same as the real car and further helping elevate this wheel's premium design. Now adding to that premium sense is of course a bright and vibrant 4.3-inch display, compatible with SimHub for full customizability or with SimLab's own Race Director software where the Mercedes F1 and several other preset displays are all available to use. There is very little to nothing to complain about regarding the screen of this wheel. It's of very good quality, everything looks perfectly crisp, and it's also extremely fast and accurate to react. Now the final thing to go over on the front of the wheel will of course be the handles. Molded with a rubber silicone material, SimLab themselves are claiming that they feel, and I quote, unlike anything that you have ever felt before. And despite that sounding like standard marketing BS, I can confirm that they are indeed incredible. In fact, I can even say with confidence that these are the best feeling handles that I've ever used in a sim racing wheel. What makes these handles so good aren't necessarily their shape. In fact, I wouldn't say that they're molded in a particularly comfortable way. However, the rubber material that SimLab have used here is simply unmatched. Now it's hard to explain exactly what I mean, but just the overall confidence that I have when my hands touch these grips is something that very few sim racing wheels have even come close to matching. The handles are smooth, soft, and grippy, and I even found myself having more comfort and confidence holding onto them without gloves. Keep in mind that like most rubber materials though, they certainly hold onto dust and debris, and so to prevent that, I've been using a SimShield formula wheel cover whenever it's not in use, this being something that I always recommend for anybody with an expensive wheel. Anyways, now taking a look behind the wheel, we find many other things still worth going over. I would say that one of the most controversial things about this wheel, and something that I still can't say whether I do or do not like, are going to be the paddle shifters. Made entirely of carbon fiber, the paddle shifters look fantastic, but as all of you have noticed, they're also extremely thin. This means that you'll only be pressing down on them with your index finger, this being something that could be a drawback to many. Also, unlike many other paddle shifters, these are fairly quiet but still do use magnets for an enhanced feel, this also being something that can be adjusted. I will say that one of my favorite features of these paddle shifters are going to be their rocking feature, meaning that I can up or downshift with either hand. This of course is great when one of my hands is busy with one of these dials, getting a drink, or something of that sort. Now, the star of the show back here will be the single throw clutch paddle, which is unlike any other wheel I've ever owned, but yep, you guessed it, it's exactly like Lewis was using in his Mercedes Formula 1 car. This clutch paddle has very little resistance, but it can have its travel adjusted, and furthermore, its handle is well designed for comfort and grip. Finally, regarding compatibility, this wheel can be used with any third-party wheelbase that supports a 70mm bolting pattern. This means that if you have a Fanatec, a MOZA, Simagic, Acetec, or any mainstream direct drive wheelbase, it will be compatible with that, assuming you have the right adapter. Then, connecting it back only to a PC can be done simply with the included braided USB cable that attaches here on the back. When it comes to talking about the in-game performance and the feeling of the force feedback, of course that's more of a conversation about the wheelbase. However, something I've noticed, and something that I've also seen many owners of this wheel comment about online, is just that the feeling that the wheelbase is giving me is excellently transmitted through this wheel. And yes, I can say with confidence that this wheel is giving me absolutely every single detail that the Fanatec base that I'm using is pushing out. All the nuances, the vibrations, the details, they all are just so well transmitted back onto my hands, and that's something that I really just can't stress enough. Ultimately, looking at the quality of this wheel, the on-track performance, the price tag, and the sacrifices that it makes, it's very evident that this certainly isn't for everyone. Now, there's no denying that SimLab have gone above and beyond with the realism of this wheel, but that realism also kind of presents some downsides. You see, while I understand that SimLab was trying to make this wheel a one-to-one replica of the real Mercedes wheel, at the same time, it's meant to be used on a sim, and that search for absolute realism also gives it some drawbacks when meant to be used on the sim. Essentially, as I'm sure many of you have picked up on, this wheel does not have a lot of really useful things catered to sim racers' needs. Things like 7-way switches or joysticks to help navigate menus, backlit buttons for racing at night, a touchscreen display for added functionality, or a third row of paddle shifters on the back for more versatility, etc. Now, when you're talking about an extremely niche sim racing product like this one, there is no negating that it is completely unnecessary. For the money that this wheel is commanding, you can quite literally buy any other sim racing wheel in the market, and the competition is absolutely fierce. Matter of fact, there are other sim racing wheels on the market that even offer more functionality and quirks and features than this wheel does. However, it's incredibly obvious that for the 1% of sim racers who can afford a wheel like this one, you're not getting this wheel necessarily because it's better than all the other options. You're getting this because it is something that is truly special, something that is a one-to-one replica of the top tier of motorsports, and probably the only wheel in sim racing that has sacrificed absolutely everything for utmost realism and immersion. Now, how many units of this wheel can SimLab realistically sell is something that is above my comprehension, but regardless of price and practicality, I think this is one of the most significant products that any sim racing company has ever been able to make, and just that alone puts this wheel at a level that very, very few can even come close to matching. This wheel was not built to check every box for every sim racer. It was built to be authentic. It's a love letter to Formula 1, a celebration of precise engineering, and a piece of functional art. It trades convenience for realism, practicality for prestige, and in doing so, it carves out a very specific lane for itself. If you're the kind of person who wants a tool designed for performance and a centerpiece for your rig, something that truly sparks emotion every time you look at it, then, well, this is for you.